Hey guys, my name is Thomas Brush. I'm the creator of a game called Pinstripe. I'm also working on a game called Once Upon a Coma. I've been making games for 10 years, and in those 10 years, I've been running my own game studio, paying the mortgage, paying the company's bills, paying for my family, my wife and daughter, and my dog. I've been doing all this with game development. It's my job. I'm an indie game developer. It's the best job on earth, and I had no idea how to start an indie game studio. And I think the worst thing was I had no idea how easy and possible it actually was to do it. So I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just aimlessly wandering around. And I wish I had somebody like me to tell me some baby steps, some quick steps that I could take to start a game studio in a short amount of time. Believe it or not, you can make a game studio in a year. And so I want to give you 12 steps, and that's month by month, of how you can start your indie game studio. Now, obviously, this has to do with you. It has to do with you being disciplined and working hard. I can't guarantee anything if you're not going to work your butt off on making this happen. Now, you're going to be tempted to think that your surroundings, your world, maybe your identity, or how you were born, or how you grew up, or your family. You're going to be tempted to blame all of those things. But what I want you to do for this 1 year is realize that you are the person that's going to make this happen. Nothing else is going to stop you. You are going to make this happen. So let's talk about the 12 steps, the 12 month-to-month steps that you can do to achieve your very first indie game studio. Let's get started. Now, before I tell you the month-to-month steps for you to start your indie game studio, I want to talk about something like Skillshare. And I'm really excited to talk about Skillshare because honestly, guys, Skillshare can be used in these 12 steps. Skillshare can teach you how to make great sound effects for your game, great music for your game, great story, teach you Unity, teach you C#, teach you 3D design, Photoshop, UX design. Whatever you need to learn about game development and creating your indie game studio, it can be learned on Skillshare. So, if you guys want 2 free months of Skillshare, click the link in the description. Spend 2 to 3 hours a day for a month brainstorming a generic small game idea. Be sure that this idea that you have, this generic idea, is small and it's sticky. What I mean by sticky is that when you throw it at somebody, when you throw this idea at somebody, they can catch it quick. And they understand what you're saying. It makes sense. And preferably, they get excited and they start offering more ideas. A really good example of a sticky idea is Super Mario Odyssey. The idea was, what if you had a hat and that hat gave you all sorts of abilities? And so they just stacked up idea after idea after idea, the simple concept of throwing your hat, right? That's a really sticky idea. And notice how it's small. It's like a diamond. Think of it as a diamond. It's small, but super valuable. So I need you to spend a month just brainstorming 2 to 3 hours a day. And that means working through lunch, and that means working in the mornings, early before work, or late into the evening. This is probably the most important step for your year-long process of creating your indie game studio. Now, once you have this idea, I need you to pitch it to people. I need you to pitch it to friends and family members. Only pitch it to people who play video games, and only pitch it to people who want to see you succeed. There are a lot of people in your life who don't want to see you succeed because they aren't succeeding. So be sure that you're talking to people who want to see you succeed. Otherwise, they're going to turn down your ideas, tell you it's a bad idea, and make you feel bad about yourself. So that's the first month. It's huge, an important month, because everything else is gonna lay on this foundation, this small, tiny idea. Doesn't mean your idea is not gonna change to a degree, but everything is gonna lay on this foundation. All right, the second month, the second step to create your indie game studio in a year is you need to learn the basics, just the basics of Unity and some art tool, okay? So that could be Photoshop if you want to make a 2D game, or that could be Blender or Cinema 4D for creating 3D stuff. Now, this is just the basics, guys. You're going to be learning about the software as you're moving through the year, as you're creating your game, okay? But this second month is learning the basics. And so I need you to spend 2 to 3 hours a day, every day for a month, just focusing on learning the basics of Unity. That means that understanding the software environment, understanding how things interact with one another, opening up Blender, taking Blender tutorials. There's a ton of places to be able to learn this software. So there really is no excuse, guys. We are in the best time in human history to learn and create things, to create worlds. We have no excuse. So spend that second month learning Blender or Photoshop or both if you want, and then Unity, just the basics. It's okay if you're not perfect, just the basics. Okay, the third month in this process is learning C#. Now, most of you have some kind of understanding about code. Now, if you have no idea about syntax or code, learning C# in a month might be a bit of a challenge, but I would just say if you can't get it done in a month, make it 2 months, make it 3 months. It's okay if it extends beyond a year. For those of you who know how to generally code and understand the syntax, I think you can learn the basics of C#, especially in the context of Unity, because Unity does a really good job of sort of helping you along as you code. There are so many amazing tutorials, and also writing scripts in Visual Studio. It kind of does it for you in a way. There's a lot of recommendations in Visual Studio, so I believe that you can learn it in a month. Now, the fourth month is sort of rinse and repeat all of this, okay? Especially months 2 and 3. The fourth month should be spent going back over Unity and Photoshop and Blender and C# and just making sure you understand the basics. Guys, if you think about it, these 4 months are really spent on just learning the basics of software and understanding what your prototype is. It sounds like you're compressing a lot, but I believe that you can actually do it, especially when you focus on doing 2 to 3 hours a day, every day for these 4 months. This is when things get fun, okay? The 5th month is you are going to create a terrible looking, horrible looking prototype, only one level for this idea that you created in your first month. This prototype must look terrible. If you find that your prototype actually looks kind of cool, you've wasted your time. And the reason why is because the prototype phase should be a highly economical, quick phase. It's almost like a game jam. You need to get this prototype done quick because you don't want to spend any other time working on artwork or music or making this thing look polished. And the reason why is because when you actually test it with a focus group, when you do focus testing, people are going to want to change a lot about your game. And they're going to reveal things to you that you didn't know and you didn't fully understand. So once you actually have an understanding of what's wrong with your prototype, going back and fixing it, you're probably going to recreate it. You're going to start from the ground up and make it better. So polishing, this is not the time for polish. So this is month 5. Build a terrible looking prototype. Only one level. Once you finish this generic, terrible looking prototype, doesn't mean that it's not fun. Just because something looks terrible doesn't mean it's not fun. All right, we've made it to the 6th. Is that 6th? 6th month. Relax a little bit. And the reason why is because it's kind of like why I sometimes take walks. It's because I need a reboot. I need a refresh. Okay? So you need to take a break. And the way that you're going to take a breather is you're just going to send your prototype out to friends. Remember those 5 friends I was talking about earlier? These are individuals who want to see you succeed. These are individuals who play games, understand games, like playing games. I need you to send your prototype to these individuals, and I need you to get their feedback. A way that you can get feedback, probably the best way, is get a couple of beers, go to your friend's house, load up your game, turn out the lights, drink a beer, and write down every single thing that your friend talks about that frustrates them or bothers them, okay? Now this is with 5 friends, so you're gonna get a lot of feedback. You might get 100 to 200 things you need to change about your prototype. But this is a great way to do focus testing. Now, if you have some extra time in this month, send your build off to some friends that maybe are in another state, or maybe your Twitter followers, or maybe if you have a YouTube channel, see if some of your YouTube subscribers want to play your game, and offer up feedback in a Google form. But overall, this month is just you taking a breather and getting feedback from people about what you've achieved and what they think about your prototype. All right, now that you've had a breather, it's time to kick it into overdrive in the 7th month. The 7th month is fine-tuning based on feedback. 30 days, 2 to 3 hours a day of just fine-tuning your game based on the feedback that you received from your friends. That's honestly the 7th month. Just nose to the grindstone. Is that a word? Is that a phrase? I think it is. Nose to the grindstone. Let's just pretend it is a phrase. Let's pretend it is a phrase. Put your nose to the grindstone and get those changes done. Now the 8th month, this is where things get really fun. It doesn't mean it's not hard work, but this is where things get fun. I need you to polish the heck out of this prototype. Make it look beautiful. Start putting image effects and camera effects and motion blur and a ton of game feel elements. By the way, guys, if you want to learn about game feel, just type in game feel tutorial or game feel lecture on YouTube. And there are some incredible videos about how to make your game feel good. That means screen shake, that means particle explosions, that means the sound effects having good bass and good treble. I could go on and on about what makes good game feel. This is the month where you polish it and make it look amazing. Again, guys, it's just one level. We're not creating a game with a ton of levels. It's just one level with that core game loop. Once you've achieved the polish that you want in those 30 days, it's time for you to purchase a couple things. Now, this is gonna cost you probably $2,000 to $3,000. To me, it's totally worth it. This is a great time to maybe ask your friends, say, okay, what do you think about this game? Do you honestly think that this game is worth any more time or investment on my part? Again, if these friends really want to see you succeed, they'll be honest with you. If they say, yeah, I really like this game and I think it could be successful, this could be a really good time for you to decide whether you want to get a little bit of a loan or use savings to purchase the next 2 things that I'm going to talk about. In month 9 and month 10, I need you to find an amazing video game musician. They're all over the place. So this is why it's gonna take maybe a month of your time, 30 days for you to source the perfect musician for your game. This could be somebody as high profile as Christopher Larkin. I mean, if you pay him the right amount of money, he might make, and he made the soundtrack for Hollow Knight, by the way. Or finding someone like me who can write music. Now, I do understand some of you saying that you could find a song on Epidemic Sound or productioncrate.com or Pond5, or there's just a ton of websites where you can download a song that works for your game. I think most of us as game developers aren't really art directors, okay? So a lot of you watching this might not have a good understanding of what a good song is, what makes a player really feel good. And so that's why, to me, it's more risky to spend all this time making a prototype and then not spend the money on someone who knows how to write music for games and knows how to make a song match your game's feeling. It's a wiser decision to do that. So pay for someone to make a song, one song for your game, and make sure it feels perfect. Now, once you've done that and you've put it in your game, then what I would say is purchase an incredible piece of 4K art for your cover and for your logo so that you could send it to people and pitch it to publishers. So we're about to get to the end of this year. Now, some of you are thinking, I didn't make a game. I just made a prototype. I made a demo. That's right, you don't need a game to start a game studio. Once you have a demo with beautiful music, once you have a game that has a beautiful front cover with a beautiful logo, it's time to start pitching your game to publishers and consider doing crowdsourcing. This is the moment of truth, guys. And I know a lot of you want to release a game in a year. If you've never made a game and don't really understand how to make a game, it is not possible to get a great game done in a year, but it is possible to secure funding so that you can finish it within the next year. In months 11 through 12, I need you to reach out to 100 indie game publishers with concise emails that include everything that's part of your game. Here is the demo, here is the trailer, here is the gameplay footage, here is my press kit, and if you want to understand how to make a press kit, just type in indie game press kit and Google will tell you how to do that. And this is where you can also consider building a Kickstarter campaign. Now, if you guys truly, honestly created a great prototype, if you created something that's really special and it's short, let's say it's 5 minutes long or 10 minutes long, if the core game loop works, if the music really works, if the art really works, and you've made something that you think is really special, publishers will buy this. If they like your core game loop and you did it all on your own, they're going to buy it. Now, if it's your first game, they might give you $30,000, they might give you $100,000. But this money is where you finally say, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna make this game awesome. See, this first year, guys, it was about understanding how to make an incredible prototype that you can sell. Or guys, if you don't wanna work with a publisher, you can build a Kickstarter campaign. Now, this is just a side note, but a lot of individuals think that Kickstarter campaigns need to have a fully completed game. And I think what's happened here is that most Kickstarter campaigns that look really great, they did a really good job of tricking you that they had a really long, fully fleshed out game. What they probably did is had a really good prototype, and then they created a lot of cool trailer graphics and effects to make the game feel more alive and more full. The truth is, guys, if you have 5 minutes of gameplay to share on Kickstarter and then a really good pitch, you can have a successful Kickstarter campaign, even with a small prototype. All right, guys, that is my 1-year plan for creating an indie game studio. If you guys like this video, please hit subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll try and answer as best as I can, and leave a like. Also, guys, I'm about to release my game, Once Upon a Coma. It's my second commercial release. We're gonna release it on consoles and PC and Mac. If you guys are interested in that game, please wishlist the game in the link in the description. Thanks, guys.